Hey y'all, we back. It's your girl, the Chemist, and for today we'll be going through part 2 of our water, aka water discussion. Excuse me. Now, in the last video, I dropped that resource, www.ewg.org/tapwater. Hopefully you've had some time to go through and look up what are different contaminants that are specific to your local water source. Now, I just want to give a little bit of background about that site in general. So in 1972, the Clean Water Act got passed, and pretty much that was a bunch of guidelines for companies to follow in regards to the tap water that they're serving us as consumers. And then it wasn't until 1973 that the Clean Bottled Water Act or something like that got passed. I'll be sure to drop the link. But that's a similar thing in the sense that it's recommended guidelines for companies to follow. Now, I definitely do want to bring awareness to the fact that just because you're buying your water bottle does not mean that it's cleaner than the tap. Because I know personally, I was really feeling myself when I was honestly being cheap and not wanting to go out and buy a filter. And instead, I was buying a bunch of bottled water. But again, these companies are not required to follow the same guidelines. That they're not as rigorous in comparison to tap water, right? So how you can become aware of what are those different contaminants and also what are the different things that those companies are testing for in regards to contaminants is by calling up the company. Whatever water you're currently buying, if you're buying bottled water, call them up. Get a hold of their quality control and ask them for their quality control reports. And hopefully, if it is a company that prides itself in transparency, all this information will be available online. If not, it's just a phone call, which I know does seem like a lot of work. But, you know, if you're drinking this water every day and you're also serving it to your kids and your families, definitely want to be aware of what you are putting in and also on your body. Now, for this video, what I did was I went through and I pulled up two different locations, right? So the first being my hometown, York, Pennsylvania, and then the other location is Phoenix, Arizona. So the zip code, so let me just kind of break down what I'm planning to do. So I'm going to talk about what are the different contaminants. Then I'm going to talk about how did they get there, and then I'm going to talk about what do they actually, how do they even affect your body, right? And then I will go through at the end, after I go through both different locations, and I'll be sure to talk about how you can filter some of these contaminants out, hopefully. So for York, Pennsylvania, I typed in the zip code 17404, and the water source is York Water Company. So as of the day that I pulled this report, which was February 24th, 2021, I'm only bringing that up because, again, this information is required to be submitted annually. And of course, as time progresses, you know, the reported contaminants will change. So as of, again, this year, 2021, there are 7 reported contaminants that are higher than the recommended limit. And first is chloroform, which, yes, I said chloroform. Chloroform, that stuff that you pour that you put on the rag, and then you basically cover somebody's mouth when you're trying to kidnap them. You be seeing it on the movies all the time. Yes, that stuff is in the water of York, Pennsylvania. And that is at 54 times the recommended amount. You also have bromochloromethane. That was a mouthful, yes. That's 93 times the recommended limit. haloacetic acid, which is reported at 184 times the limit, and also trihalomethanes, which is reported at 188 times the limit. Now, how does that stuff even get in our water, right? So it took a little bit of research to be honest with y'all, but basically, this is something that I forgot to mention in my last video, and I do apologize for that. But I went through and talked about what are the different ways that water gets filtered and treated. And one of the most important methods for treatment for water treatment that I forgot to mention was chemicals. So companies will put chemicals in the water in order to help clean it out. So chlorine is what's being used to clean out the water. But the issue is that that's creating a lot of byproduct, right? And that's what all of these are. So, I mean, honestly, it is what it is. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, you have chemicals, you have a bunch of other things floating around in that water in regards to chemical properties, and naturally you will have byproducts. The problem is that this is that excessive amount, right? So how does all of this even affect our bodies? So pretty much these are all considered to be carcinogens, right? Meaning that they have the potential to cause cancer as well as suppress the immune system. And if somebody is, currently having a suppressed immune system, it is very possible that certain carcinogens could serve as a catalyst, right, to making these diseases or illnesses worse. So next, I'll go through Arizona. So the zip code that I use for that is 85202, and the water source is Maricopa County. Maricopa County is the county, right? And then the source of water that I pulled was for the city of Phoenix. And again, as of this year, 2021, there are 8 reported contaminants, and I'll go through 4 as well. So the first one being arsenic, right? Arsenic is a heavy metal, and that is reported at 1,372 times above that recommended threshold. You have, again, haloacetic acids, which is reported at 133 times the threshold. Trihalomethanes, 289 times the reported threshold, as well as chromium. And that's at 20 times the recommended amount. So how does that stuff even get in the water, right? So arsenic is naturally found in the Earth's crust, right? And Arizona, Texas, that West Coast area is a hot spot for that naturally, right? So some of that's a little bit beyond our control, but also there is a lot of leaching that does occur from agricultural processing. Now again, those haloacetic acids and trihalomethanes, quite the mouthful. Again, those are byproducts from chlorine that is being added into the water to help clean it out. And then your chromium, that's coming from industrial processing, right? So Arizona's well known for that. And unfortunately, the citizens of that area are paying price. So now let's talk about how are you going to filter your water, right? And all of this is from that EWG website, but depending on what the actual contaminant is, you could either use RO or carbon filters. So basically double filtering your water, which I know may seem like too much, but it's definitely worth it. Now I see that I'm reaching my time, so I'll go ahead and conclude the video here, and then we will pick this up, and I guess what will be part 3. So thank y'all for your time. Have a good day.